And in three, two. Thanks for joining us on Village Venues today. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Jim Erickson from Hot Springs Village. And some of you may know Jim from being in the village. You may know just for being around or being with the Boomers. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But first, Jim, how did you get to Hot Springs Village?
Well, my wife and I had a mutual friend at church
Yeah.
in Bettendorf, Iowa, and they decided to sell their house and move to Hot Springs Village
From Bettendorf, Iowa.
from Bettendorf, Iowa. And his name was Bill Nags and his wife Ruth, and they came down and he said, "You need to come down and see this place," because he knew I liked to play golf. So
Yeah.
we decided that we'd come down for a weekend, and if we liked it, we might buy a lot or something. So
Get a membership.
that's
Yeah.
how we got started. Yep.
And so you didn't buy the lot where you're at now, of course.
No.
No. So, but you bought something to get a placeholder and started coming down. And how did you get addicted?
Oh, well, my buddies and I would come down and play golf once or twice a year. So we'd come down and do week-long golf trips and had a good time. My wife would come down occasionally, and we would look around at different activities. And she wanted to have a house on a lake, so we needed to make sure we had a lake lot, and we were able to do that. So
Now, you and Cindy, if I'm not mistaken, did y'all work together at one point, or no? Was she in IT? Was she in IT?
no, Cindy worked for John Deere,
Right.
and she was in charge in their IT department. She managed one of their departments
Oh.
inside of IT.
And you did what?
And I worked for Alcoa, and I was
Oh.
a systems analyst for Alcoa.
Really,
Yeah.
really. I had no idea. So after retirement, we said, "Hey, we're coming to the village," or "This looks like a lot of fun." And here's the story I see. I see a lot of times this is the story that the husband says, "Ooh, I love golf. Let's go move to the village," and the wife goes,
Well, she knew that when we retired, we were going to go south somewhere,
warmer."
someplace warmer. We didn't have to have snow and ice. Well, we do get ice here occasionally,
Yeah, but not like you.
but not like up north. So anyway, she said as long as we go to a someplace where she can build a house on the lake, that was her dream.
That was just her thing.
Then we would be able to come to go wherever. And we came down like the village, and we bought a lot right away. And it's over on Lake Coronado. We still have it. And
anybody's interested.
if anybody's
Yeah,
interested,
still
yes,
for sale.
it is
Anybody's
for
interested,
sale.
yeah.
But we decided then that if for some reason we were going to go someplace else, we would sell a lot and move on, and we never moved on.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think the quality of the lifestyle. Twiggs, our former chairperson or former CEO, whatever his position was, he made a comment, and he could have been a controversial figure, but he made a comment that I don't think anybody could argue with. And he said, "People come from Little Rock, or they come from Benton, or they come from Conway." And when we would solicit the media in Little Rock, he would say, "Well, we've got this going on," and literally with a hand wave like this, the media would go, "Yeah, we know what the village is like. Yeah, no,"
yeah.
and they don't have a clue.
No, they really don't. My friends up north, they said, "You're moving to Arkansas?
Arkansas,
Really?
they
You're
still got
moving to
that,
Arkansas?"
right?
And I said, "It's beautiful down there. You need to come and see."
I had a friend from California come one time, and I said, "So what do you think about Arkansas?" She said, "It's so green," and I said, "Well, what color is it supposed to be? It's supposed to be green, isn't it?"
Yeah.
And then I realized, like you say, I mean, the rest of the world doesn't always look that way.
People fly over Arkansas.
Yeah.
They don't get to drive through it too often, and when they do, they'll find out it's pretty nice.
Yeah. Well, we've got more interesting information with Mr. Jim here in just a minute. We're going to get into the meat of the matter in about 30 seconds, so come back and join us in just a minute. All right. Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm not gonna stop this one, so just.
We're just going to keep rolling?
Yeah.
I got to edit this out all by myself?
Would you like to?
I'm good. I'm good. I don't want your pity. I don't want your pity, Houston. Beginning in 5, 4, 3. And welcome back to Village Venues with Mr. Jim Erickson. It is a pleasure to have Mr. Jim again. And today we're going to talk about the thing that's on his shirt. What does it say on your shirt there, Jim?
It says Boomers Rock.
The Boomers Rock. Now, and I'm going to tell you a story I don't think I've shared before. About 2003, there was a lady and her husband that moved from California, and they moved to Isla Mujeres, the little point, the little flat point there at the far end of Lake Balboa. And I talked to the lady once before. She worked as the advertising director at a car dealership. He worked, I'm trying to think where else. He was in another advertising type business, and they were really nice people. And she called one day, and I just called me out of the blue because I was buying and selling lots. And she said, "You're one of the few people I know, and my heart's just breaking." And I'm like, "What?" And she said, "We moved to the village, and there's just nothing to do." And I said, "Well, there's a lot to do." She said, "Those people aren't our age. They don't understand. It's da 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 da." And I thought, wow. I mean, and she was very heartfelt. She had a real point. She really did. So Boomers Rock came about because of all these stinking boomers coming to the village, right?
Well, actually, back in 2012, there was a person who put an ad in the paper. The person's name was Susan Stewart. She wanted to see if there were people in the village, boomer age people that wanted to get together and do boomer things.
Yeah.
Okay. And so she put the ad in the paper, and there were 19 people that answered the ad.
19.
Yeah, Cindy and I were two of them. We met over at Charlie's over in Jessieville, back when Charlie's was still back over in Jessieville.
Sure.
And we had an organizational meeting, decided we wanted to try to keep things moving in a positive direction, and started having monthly meetings after that.
And how many members do we have now, Jim?
As of this morning, we have 629.
Which is by far and away the largest group in the village.
Yeah, we've been growing very much the last 2 to 3 years. We've really started putting on a lot of members.
It really has. I've been in the computer club for several years. I've been the computer vice president for 4 years, and they're like, "Don't you ever want to be president?" And I'm like, "No, I've got a job. I gotta go out and make some money and pay for that pretty wife of mine." But my point was, if you got more leisure time, and I knew that the computer club, I think at one time we had 450, 480 members.
Right.
But even that's dwindled because people don't need as much computer help because the boomers are coming in a little bit more every day. And even the music on the radio, believe it or not. The KVRE is playing a little bit different music. It's more Eagles. It's more that kind of thing. And we're seeing that move. What do boomers want to do?
What do boomers want to do? Well,
everything.
Well, I don't saying everything. Everybody is an individual. They have their own interests. We have boomers that, well, first off, Boomers Rock doesn't restrict on age. So we have millennials and we have silent generation.
Yeah.
We have the full gambit. So we don't restrict on age, but it's more of a kindred spirit, if you will.
Yeah.
Like rock and roll, like to go to a party. Like to be with folks and just enjoy their company and
have a good time. Well, and just if I can, just for a second, as a byline here, last night we had the Mardi Gras party.
Yes, we did.
That'll date when this was recorded. But it was such a great time, and the band was Code Blue.
Code Blue is our band, yep.
Fantastic
band.
Yes,
70s and 80s, maybe a little 90s rock and roll in there.
There was a little Coldplay in there. There was a little Eagles. There was
Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd. There was a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is such great music, and the crowd loved it. And as you said, I saw some 90-plus people there dancing their hearts out.
Yep.
And some really young kids there at the same time. It's more of a mindset. But now we have a lot of events. Would that be a way to say it?
We have well over 100 events a year, and they range from anywhere from large events like we did last night with Mardi Gras, where we'll have upwards of 170 or 80 people, all the way down to walking a trail.
Really?
Yeah,
we're
maybe a maximum of 20 people, maybe.
Really?
And you go for a hike for a while and do that once every couple of weeks or so. We have bowling groups. We have monthly mixers where we have about 60 people get together and just have a meal and sit down and enjoy each other's company.
Well, some of our better friends have really come from the boomers. I mean, you sit down and you pick out the lifestyle. They're usually generally well educated.
Mm-hmm.
They're reasonably comfortable. They're not always extroverts of sorts, but they're not introverts. They're friendly people. It's nothing. We stood in line to get a drink last night, and the guy came up and went, "Hey, I like your shoes. I got shoes just like that."
Mm-hmm.
We struck up a friendship discussion. Come to find out, he was a visitor with another guest. I mean, he was a guest of a member, and he had never been to a show like this before.
Yeah,
and had a fantastic time.
As a matter of fact, we had 2 guests that we brought to the Mardi Gras last night. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, they contacted us via our website and
Which
said
is
we
HSV Village Rocks.
it's boomersrockhsv.com.
Boomersrockhsv.com.
Right.
It'll be here at the bottom. Down at the
Yeah.
bottom.
And anyway, so they contacted the website, and I get those messages that come in, and so they said, we're going to be in town looking for a house, and we saw that you were going to have a party. Would we be able to buy tickets?
Oh, wow.
So I
And
said,
it was sold out last night, if I'm not mistaken.
yes, we were sold out. And so what we did is I put them on my reservation. They came over to our house for a pre-party drink, just to get to know them a little bit, and then we took them to the party last night.
Oh, and anyway, we've yet to meet at an event someone that was horsey, unagreeable. You know, I'm sure they're there, but everyone is just friendly.
Yes.
It's really easy to get along with them. It's easy to make new friends. It's easy to connect. And when you move to a place that all you have in common of sorts is the geography,
That's right.
you know.
Well, one thing, Cindy used to be president of Boomers Rock when, in its first few years. And when she stepped down, we were at our annual meeting, and she asked everybody in the room how many people are in the room that have made lifelong, lasting friends from people who they met in Boomers Rock.
Right.
And everybody in the room raised their hand.
Everybody
raised their hand. So it really is about getting to know people and just enjoying each other's company. And you do make friendships. You know, a lot of the friends that we hang around with are folks that we met in Boomers.
Yeah, well, I started coming here about 20 years ago, and I was buying and selling lots in the village. And every song on the radio was Count Basie, big band music, swing music. And it's changed just a little every day, and gradually.
Right.
As what I anticipate, what I envision, is the Boomers the next wave? Is that, or are we waving right now? Is that?
I think we're waving now. Actually, I think we get contacts. We have what we call a newcomers dinner,
right?
And we have them about every 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the season of the year.
Now, is this newcomer to the village, newcomer to the club?
This can be either,
Okay.
but it's open to non-members, and it's just to come and see what Boomers is about. We give them some information, what kind of events we have, that sort of thing.
But membership is not expensive, even at that.
No, it isn't. But what we do is we get like 25 people who come to these dinners, and we sell them out. We've been selling them
Really?
out for about the last year. Yeah.
Because it's basically just the classic mixer.
Yeah,
It really
it's
is.
it's an icebreaker, so you can get an idea of what the club's about, and also maybe make a new friend while you're there.
Well, you know, the table that we sat at last night, I mean, we literally walked in, and just for what it's worth, if you don't know this about the village, if you're on time, you're 5 minutes late. And if you come in right at on time, you get to sit wherever the last two chairs are, which is what we
Exactly.
were like, okay, well, guess we're sitting at this table because these are the only two chairs in the sold-out event. So as we sat down, the lady to the right was from Kansas. Her husband was across the way, and I think he had been a CPA. The lady to the left of us had been a marketing rep. The gentleman, her husband, was another IT tech like myself. The lady to the other side had been a nurse. Her husband was a surgeon. It's just the most interesting group of people. And they literally, I mean it, off the cuff, have more interesting stories than you can imagine. It's
Yes.
just it's a very deep pool. Is that fair enough?
It's fair enough. It's fair enough. Everybody has a story to tell, and they're not always just interested in telling you their story, but they're also interested in listening to what you have to say.
Yeah, they're great listeners. They're
Yeah.
great listeners. Let's go through just a couple of pieces real quick.
Okay.
I've been to the putt-putt event where we had a miniature golf
Yep.
event
Mm-hmm.
with barbecue. We have the boat rides.
Yes. Well, we do some volunteer stuff. Let's go back to the putt-putt.
Sure.
So we do some things for the POA occasionally, and one of the areas we worked on was the putt-putt area. We had a POA provided the paint and painting supplies, that sort of thing. Boomers Rock provided the volunteers.
Really?
And we spent a day or so out there cleaning and painting, and then the POA finished up afterwards.
And I noticed also, I mean, some of our fundraisers actually went to put more sand on the beach and
Well,
condition the beach at Balboa.
Initially, we didn't pay for the sand, but what we did do is we raised about $5,000, and you notice there's 2 cabanas out there.
Yeah, with a beautiful
Right,
canvas tent
and
awnings, yeah.
we paid for 2 of those.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's not that the POA couldn't do that, but it's that our fundraisers simply help
Right.
allow some of those things.
Yep.
So there's the boat rides. There's the
Yep.
what's coming up. What have you?
Well, what's coming up? Oh, actually, that's probably the next real major event coming up is our potluck in the summer, and we basically take over Balboa Pavilion, and we fill it. We'll have a couple hundred people there probably.
Oh yeah.
And everybody brings something to share, and we have a fun meal, and we allow people to sign up for boat rides. We have a number of folks that have boats on Lake Balboa, and they're willing to serve as captains to take folks out who don't have access to the lake,
Sure.
and enjoy the view from the other side.
You know, a lot of times, just simply like taking a boat ride. Hey, let's go hop on the boat and ride around. Well, you have to know somebody, and you have to have frankly, a certain level of friendship or something that you would engage with them that way or whatever. But the Boomers seems to lower that bar so much easier. Where, you know, maybe I don't know you that well, but you have a boat and we're having an event. I've never been out on the lake. That'll be fun.
Right.
You know.
And we usually have about 4 or 5 boats. We can fit anywhere from 6 to 10 on a boat, depending on which boat it is.
Yeah.
And we usually do 2 tours.
Yeah.
So we get probably 40 or 50 people
it's
out
a
on the
whole lot
lake.
of fun. And usually, before we've had bands that have come there.
Mm-hmm.
We've had Liquid Kitty at a couple of things.
Yep.
We have the New Year event.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there's bowling. There's a singles
Right.
group. There's go through some more.
That's the small group aspect of it. We realized that not everybody wanted to go to big events.
Yeah.
Not everybody. We couldn't have enough big events to really fill the calendar.
Oh.
And so people said, well, we got an interest. People wanted to have go bowling, for instance. So I run the bowling group.
I didn't know that.
Yes, I'm in charge of the bowling group. And we meet on the last Friday of every month. We go to Fiesta Bowl on Highway 7.
And roughly how many people, ballpark?
I'll be anywhere from 10 this week, or this Friday, I'll have about 16 or 17.
Well, hang on. Now, and I had to miss the last one. We've got, I know it sounds silly, but we got bingo coming up, which
Yes.
I think will be fun.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you one of the reasons I'm looking in the camera now and doing a discuss with the crowd. One of the reasons that we do that is because we went to the casino night.
Right.
And I had, there's table games and there's, how do you play the odds and whatever. I wasn't going to take $1,000 of my money or $500 of my money and go learn at the casino. But we had the casino night, and it was a blast. And it was sold out to the gills. You went to the tables. They had real dealers there that showed you how to play the game and whatever. It was a whole lot of fun. And, for example, you were talking about bowling. My wife's never bowled in her life.
Yeah.
And to go bowling and to know that the bar is low, we're not going to judge you. We're not going to say, well, why aren't you an expert this week or whatever. We're just going to go have fun. Let's go have fun.
And we do. And so, yeah, we've had people at bowling that will throw a 23 game.
Really?
Yeah. That's okay. But that's okay. We actually had it as when we started up, we had lessons.
Oh, really?
So people would get an idea of how to approach the line and release the ball so that they'd have a better chance of getting more pins. But so we do that sort of thing. We do have other small groups. Like I said, we have Trail Masters. We have a garden club.
Oh.
We have a singles group. Singles, that's a big aspect of growth inside of the Boomers.
Let's discuss that just for a second. I
Yeah.
just want to put the pause button.
Okay.
Well-meaning as they are, in a lot of church settings, they'll have a single group. And one of the jokes I'd heard one time was that a guy said, I went to the singles group and they were trying to find a cure. Sometimes you just want to be single. And
That's right.
sometimes you don't want the cure. You just want to hang out with other single people because in the village, it's a very couples type area. And
Yes,
I
it
understand
is.
that.
Yep.
And so it's easy if you're a single to be kind of ostracized. And then when you go to a church type event, it's like, well, let's fix that single thing for you. Maybe
I don't think we try to do that. I know that people have met at the singles events,
As they do.
and that's fine if that's how they want to go and proceed. That's more power to them. But no, we don't try to. It's not a dating
the
game.
intended
It's not a
purpose.
dating game.
Yeah. Wait, you were going through the list. The
We'll see.
the bowling, the small groups,
Yeah, I'm going to leave somebody out, and they'll be mad. So
we'll put them all at the bottom of the screen. Don't worry, we'll put them all down.
you
here.
can go to. I'll tell you what. You can go to our website, and on our website you'll see a tab for small groups, and if you click on that, it'll pull down and show you all the
There's a
small
full
groups.
calendar
There.
of everything that happens.
Yes.
It's wonderful. And I love the email blast. Actually, I was getting ready to answer the survey that I love the email blast because I'm notified there's an upcoming event. And Actually, let me bare my heart just a little in this. My lovely wife is a CPA. Right now that we're recording this, it's the very late end of February, early March. This is crunch time. They are struggling and stressing to get all these tax forms out. And she literally told me, please pick something for me to keep me occupied so I don't think that all I do is go to work, grab a cup of coffee, and work all day and then come home and then get up and go to work. I want something to break up that monotony. And the Mardi Gras night, the little bingo, it's silly, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yep.
And for example, we utilize a lot of different buildings. Last night we were at the Coronado Center.
We're at the Coronado Center.
The
Yep.
bingo is at the church,
It's at Sacred Heart Catholic Church.
which
Yep.
is gracious enough to provide their facilities.
Yes.
So anyway, if you're looking for a place to get plugged in, and you're basically between 40 and death, is that about fair?
You could even we go to even younger if you want to go
Really?
younger. Yeah, we don't restrict. If you like rock and roll and like to be with people and party, then Boomers is a good place for
We're
you.
the place for you.
Yep.
Tell you what, thanks for visiting with us on this episode of Village Venues, and we will see you again very shortly.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Good, awesome.
So
It
I'm
was
thinking-
longer than I thought.
How did it do?
It was great. Wonderful, wonderful.
Are we all set?
We're done.